Hello everyone and welcome to a video update. Normally I do these when I feel like I'm a little bit stressed out, or mainly when I want to put out a update where I clarify a couple of things and make sure that people aren't sort of misunderstanding where I'm up to with my written updates, because sometimes the way that I write can seem a little bit confusing. So anyway, let's get on with this, shall we? I'm I'm really happy. I'm both a little bit kind of like, oh god, the deadline's approaching, because Waterfall has so far been going really well. Um, the short version of it is basically it's coming along nicely. The more technical, long-winded version of it is actually more or less just the whole thing with Waterfall and how it's been going since before December is that after the last update with New Home, I'd already got planned that I wanted to do Waterfall's remake. I posted up a little teaser of it and said, like, this is what I want it to be like. And it was just a small teaser scene. I showed it off in quite a few streams, just saying to everybody, like, look, I'm testing the lighting, I'm testing how I want the effects and stuff. And the feedback I got from that was brilliant. And since then, there's been a lot of work behind the scenes with different community members to do different things. This one is probably the most involved in terms of community than anything else, because it's not just me, like modeling the entire layout and then trying to do various bits of like scenery and other things and bringing through bits of like plants from the concept art that were scrapped in the original game. Um, it's doing a lot of things like messing around with shaders to make sure everything works, doing different effects, and for some people this will be like, wait, what? What are you even talking about? And the simplest way to put it is, if you ever see like those water effects in video games where everything looks really nice and sort of looks like it's rippling, sometimes that's faked. And essentially, I was trying to do that in Blender for a while, which took a lot of experimentation, especially to get the controls just right so I could control where this was going to really sell the sort of atmosphere. And along with that, there was a lot of like messing around with thinking to myself, well, just what else do I want to show off? Waterfall's a very dark place, as everybody knows. So I've been collecting information from a lot of the community by just asking them, like, what do you want out of this? How dark should Waterfall be? How dark is too dark? And even though that sounds like a really stupid question, it's mainly just because I feel like it's better asking as many people as I can, because then I get a wide range of answers and then I can kind of work out how I should go about things. And it comes down to, yeah, it should be dark, but use different things to light up the areas or show people what's there. So for instance, even if some areas are really dark, what I've started doing is started using that research to put crystals all over the place. I think the best area that has then influenced everything else after it is Gerson's room. Primarily because Gerson's room in the sprite work, as people will see, has lots of little crystals here and there dotted throughout the room, as well as the big ones that you see quite a lot throughout Waterfall. Um, it's just that the bigger ones normally are in the roof. So those little crystals have become pretty much key to the later areas of Waterfall, because essentially you can dot them around the walls and make everything look as though it's pretty much been mined out, apart from the smaller crystals, and they dot the walls everywhere. So even if you can't see things, you can at least still see where the wall wraps around, because the crystals are glowing in the darkness, which is really cool. The water shimmering effect helps as well, and a lot of the other lights that I'm getting from like the echo flowers, crystals, different foliage, it's really helping to sell the idea of a very low lit atmosphere, but it's nice and glowing in that kind of weird, sort of fancy style way that I wanted things to look. Um, I remember describing Waterfall originally, or the way that I wanted it, was almost like a Disney film in terms of when you look at it, you initially see it, and it's just that fascination of, wow, this looks amazing, or at least everything that like old Disney have done. Um, so yeah, it's been pretty cool to work on this so far. I'm just now up to putting Asgore's castle in a waterfall right next to the area where Monster Kid and Frisk walk past on the giant sort of like ledge overlooking everything or overlooking a giant body of water. And we see Asgore's castle. And what I'm going to do is instead of having it lower down, I'm going to have it higher up near the roof. So it's almost like a hole in the roof that you can see through. And Asgore's castle is going to be kind of high up. So you can only just see it, and then we're going to have some light that comes down like a beam of light, almost looking like it's coming straight through the surface, a little bit through Hotland, which makes no sense, and then hits Waterfall and allows people from Waterfall to see through. Um, it's something which I ended up asking the Undertale Minecraft community for. I'll link them in the description down below. Um, but Doge Productions has been really helpful in being able to uh, do streams, and it talked me through the Minecraft version of this. And the reason why I say that is because it's interesting going to other people and getting their takes on how they think the designs should be and how strictly people should adhere to the sprite work, because a lot of people come to me and be like, dude, how are you making sense of this? Because it's so hard to do. Even in the first video where I showed off Heartland, and I think there's at least one audience member that you can see that comes up to me in that video and just screams at me and goes, how are you even doing this? This is terrifying. It's always annoying to try and do because the 2D maps make no sense logically. You know, so it's always crazy, and I always like everybody else's perspectives. I look at a lot of art, I look at a lot of different projects, and one other thing that's been a lot of help recently with the last couple of rooms, and especially with Undyne's Chase, is Hall of Souls. For those who don't know, Hall of Souls is an area, or rather is a shop area in the Undernet in VR chat, but the owner and creator, Frisk, in the has created almost the entirety of the underground in VR chat, and it's really fun to walk around in. I've spent lots of time there. You've probably seen a video of me walking around in there a couple of times or explaining how awesome it is. And I feel like at this point I've more or less moved in. I'm pretty much squatting in there at this point, or just living there rent free. All I need is like a campfire and a tent now. Um, but that's been a lot of help because recently I got stuck on these couple of rooms, like the walk with Monster Kid, and then making sense of the plateau where you see Asgore's castle and Undyne's Chase, because Undyne's Chase literally did not make any sense to me. Even like the Minecraft guys were like, "Yeah, we have it spiraling up this kind of like same sort of path that you can go up, but the bridge area kind of is really weird, and it's hard to make sense of. Never mind the duck bit in the marsh, which just fools everybody. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. So what I did was I asked Frisk, can I have permission to essentially use the designs and just give it the Immersiontale look, which was adding a lot of different foliage and like different stalactites and the Immersiontale textures that I've got and trying to add different effects to it. And so far it's going great. It's got me really happy because I'm literally at the point of starting Undyne's Chase. And Undyne's Chase up there, because it's the highest point of Waterfall, it's interesting. It makes no sense until you start thinking about how things are going to connect to the walls and stuff, because essentially it's a giant canyon with these bridges in, and in game they hang off nothing. But what Frisk has done is made like some pillars of rock in between that the bridges go around. And what I've decided I'm going to do is, for my version that's going to be almost a copy of theirs, as I'm going to um, connect the bridges to the rock faces all over the place so it makes more sense. And that way, you know, when we look at it visually, it's not going to be really goofy or look like it makes no sense and like it's just floating in midair. Because that was the one thing that was getting me more annoyed with that area, is just just how it is. Um, there are a lot of crazy things with Undertale that make no sense, but after this, it's back to the garbage dump, which is going to have a lot of cool features in it. Um, of which I need to apparently play Undertale Yellow and complete that before I do the garbage dump properly, because everybody is now taking Undertale Yellow as headcanon. And even though I do like it and I'm going to make some references to it, I'm not so sure how this is going to impact the garbage dump yet, and I don't want any spoilers. I'm currently getting filtered by Saroba at the end of a True Pacifist run, and I suspect there's something else after that if it's like the original game. I've been kind of spoiled by some YouTube comments, but I'd like no more. Um, but yeah, there's some things going on there. There's also more talk about the stuff that I've been doing, like or talking about collaborations with some of the other community members in terms of commissioning characters. Apparently, there are some complications with that at the moment, which have me kind of worried. But at the same time, hopefully that can still go through. Um, I'm hoping because otherwise it'll start having me panicking as to what I can do about that situation. Um, Either way, hopefully that bears some good fruit in future. I like working with other people, especially when it looks like it's going to bring more stuff to the project, and obviously when I can promote other people's work. Um, Most notably, out of all of this, like I was saying, the Minecraft guys, I'm going to link them down below. Hall of Souls, I'm going to try linking Frisk's work down below. Baker's is another one that's been working with me. Baker's, I've mentioned before, has a lot of experience with Blender. I don't, as I've been learning it slowly over the course of about a year or so. But with most 3D programs, you can't really learn every little thing about them. But when it comes to somebody with more experience, I normally deviate to them and ask them for advice and things, because I just find that it's an easy way of trying to learn things. And it's not just a case of me asking for the answers, it's a case of me going away and experimenting with stuff and seeing if it works. And if it doesn't and I have issues, then I go back and ask so I can actually learn from this stuff. And this entire experience for Waterfall has been heavily influenced by Baker's helping out with the shaders and different other things. Um, One of the most fun things on the tech side of this, learning Blender a little bit more, is geometry nodes. I've mentioned them before. Sometimes they can be annoying, sometimes they can be really helpful, but a lot of the extra details done in Waterfall are done with geometry nodes. And essentially, to put it nicely, geometry nodes are just Blender magic where you can do anything and everything with them, essentially. You just need to know how to use them. And in my case, I use them for populating the areas with a lot of details that I can then mess around with. I've talked about them in the past when I did the new home update, where I showed off geometry nodes being especially powerful for being able to randomize buildings that I can then drag out and populate the area with really quickly. And the same is true for Waterfall. It's helped me place giant areas of grass or just specific areas of grass, populate surfaces with rocks and pebbles, uh, stick stalactites on the roof, stick stalagmites on the floor in large areas. Uh, it's helped with populating a lot of things with extra details, including the crystals that I mentioned before about on the walls. Um, it's really easy to just sort of turn around with geometry nodes and be like, okay, I want this model to be populated on this surface. Just make sure that you don't clip into each other and then rotate randomly so we get a sense of actual realism. Oh, and change the scale a little bit so it's not always the largest scale. So we get again, a sense of realism and natural sort of look to things, and it's made things totally easy. I I find it actually kind of trivial at this point to populate areas with uh like foliage and things. It just makes it so easy to go into like a drop down menu that I've already customized and just say, look, this surface, I want grass on it. And then it'll turn around and be like, okay, there you go. And it'll populate the surface with grass. And then if I want, I can just drag little bits of the surface here and there, and I can actually just manipulate really easy where the grass goes. It's so good. Like It's the most fun I've ever had in this project so far, primarily because if you'd have asked me like 10 years ago or so to do all this project, I would have been like, oh God, this is going to take forever because years ago we didn't have this technology. I think that's the one thing that's most interesting for me with doing 3D and stuff since about 2005 and doing various different projects is having come from like really early or kind of early 3D tech and having to do this stuff all by hand, so placing individual geometry by hand and trying to make it look as though it's randomized and there's enough of it all over the place and, make sure that it doesn't drop the frame rate and stuff, compared to now where I can just be like, okay, there we go, do this for me and do it easy, so all I have to do is place it. It's absolutely insane. It's almost like black magic, like I was saying before, but it saves such an amount of time. Like this evening, or this morning, I should say, it took me a couple of hours to model out the rough details and then texture them for this area with Monster Kids walk past Asgore's castle. And then it only took me like, I'm gonna say about maybe an hour tops, if that, to populate the entire scene and then get it lit how I want it, which is nuts compared to previously where it would take me days probably to get the entire thing lit and have all the scenery where I wanted it and make sure that it was all rotated and looking natural. It is just absolutely stupid. So I'm saving a lot of time on that, and it's made me more confident with the next bits. Again, especially because I've only got like 10 days left to hopefully get this update done, so I've got a little bit of time to, in between this update and when the deadline properly will be for February, to start transitioning into the slower portion of the project. By that I mean, like, essentially I've always said that, or I've hinted at in other streams, if not mentioned it, that there will be a deadline in February coming up where essentially the project will go a lot slower, or at least I think it will. I'll be taking a lot of time in the evening to do work rather than throughout the day. So that change may affect things. I don't know how much at the moment, but even if I only get like an hour or two here and there, I'll obviously keep people updated. I'll take things in my stride and try and organize more with the voice actors and stuff. But February is when the bulk of stuff should be done, including this. Because once this area is done, because I'm upgrading it that much, then I can connect it to Hotland. Hotland only needs its exterior wall done and Catty and Bratty's shop, and then it's done outside of lighting, so that's fine. Um, that's not too much compared to redoing an entire level. Snowdin just needs a little tweaking here and there, and then I've just got to do the core. And the core isn't that bad because I already showed off me doing little bits of it before. So it's honestly, it's not that much afterwards, which means it's okay to kind of not worry about anything in future. It's going to be, as I suspect, a slower pace, but hopefully it shouldn't impact anything too much. And we'll also be transitioning away from modeling scenery and stuff and levels to doing more animation again, doing more work with the voice actors, and trying to get some content out, like actually out the door, actually finished. Which will be fun. I'll also, in future, be doing some promotional stuff. I'm already in talks with the Undernet, and I'm also gearing up for potentially the next, I think it was Under event that was hosted recently, the one with like everybody's fan games and fan projects in. I'm already hyped up for that because I missed out. I mentioned that a few videos ago where I was like, yeah, I kind of got contacted by somebody, but I'm not sure who it was. I wasn't so sure about it, so I released the trailer on my own channel. Well, instead, this time, hopefully, we'll be able to release some stuff for this event and get the word out there a bit more on the project. And yeah, same with the Undernet. The Undernet one should be more of a tightly knit sort of thing between community members, but it's going to be fun either way. So lots of promo stuff this year, lots of more focus on animation and actually getting the entire thing done, and hopefully less worry about things. because it's going to be more fun just filming everything, getting everything done finally. So I'm totally excited. I really am, and it's been great working on everything so far. I just hope that everybody likes the Waterfall update when it's out. I realize I've been talking for like 20 minutes now. Everybody's probably fallen asleep. Let me just finish off by saying, like, it's going to be fun. This update is set to be the biggest because it shows off a lot of stuff about Waterfall, but I'm also thinking, because there's not much more to show off other than, say, a couple of tweaks to Snowdin and then showing off Hotland finally done and the core done. Outside of that, I may do a massive recap so far of bits that I've enjoyed and show off everything that's got us to this point so far as part of the next update, while also showing off Waterfall. And we'll just show you like the previous versions as well and how everything evolved or how drastically it evolved. Because, oh boy, it's a big update. And I may, if I've got time, try and get some characters in there as well. I would like to. Previously, I've been more focused on characters for a little bit and then had the time to do the levels and stuff, but I really, really would be pushing it if I tried to animate characters at this point. I'll see what I can do. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you've not fallen asleep by now. I hope you've enjoyed this update with all its details and everything. Links down below to everybody else's work, and I shall see you on the next one. So until then, bye!